Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Tending Lilith's Fire with your hosts. I'm Kohenet Annie Matan. This is Kohenet Devora Grenn. And today we are excited to talk about choosing joy, which might be a little contentious, and we're ready.
We've already been contentious with each other a little bit. I wouldn't say contentious, but having different opinions. But we
Yes,
often
which I
do, and
love.
that's what I think makes our conversations interesting.
Yes, and you had, I forgot to ask you, so I know you have something you want to read, and I have something I want to read. And so do you
I
want,
save mine to the end.
you want to save it till the end? Okay, great. So is it okay? I will frame. Why are we talking about choosing joy? So we've noticed, and I said to Deborah, hey, I've noticed there's this thing up, like a few people in my life are having this experience, including me, of noticing areas of our life, relationships, jobs, places where we put our energy that have been hard, consistently challenging. Maybe there are people in our lives who are suffering a lot and we're turning towards them and spending a lot of energy trying to meet them and take care of them in their suffering. And as a result, our energy is getting depleted and we are worn down and we are experiencing a lot more pain and suffering. And so I've spoken to a bunch of folks recently about this idea of choosing joy. Like we can take care of people who are in need and ourselves, and also notice where we can invite in easy relationship, easy like opportunities that feel like health, ease, joy, pleasure, play, passion. And we haven't maybe prioritized that much in the last while. And so just talking about like why do that, and like I'm interested in talking about why do that and how to do that, especially if you're very depleted and you don't even remember what joy looks or feels like. And just, like, and as a collective, how I believe we're moving in that direction from survival mode to thriving mode.
Right.
And
I
how
hope
we
so.
do that. Yeah, we hope, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, in the last little while, it's more about coping with the onslaught of news and the state of the world and the state of people's mindsets have been so affected by COVID and being shut away from other people. For some of us, like my partner and I, were introverts, so we've kind of enjoyed the time, more time to ourselves. And of course, we like not having to commute, not having to decide whether to go into someone's house to serve a client and so on. But the world situation and the politics here can certainly be overwhelming some days. And so some of us choose to filter how much news we take in. And yeah, I think it's a really good subject, and I appreciate you bringing it up because we have to consciously make that choice. And I think I often do, but many people don't. And there are certainly days I forget to do it, to know that we have a choice to do something fun or set aside some time just for ourselves, because we get so caught up in the things that have to be done and then layer on that the fears or worries about COVID, and on top of that the fears and worries about all the people around the world who can't even get health care and who are not having enough food and so on. So and in this country, so yeah, the moments of joy, music for me is a big one. It's something that pulls me out of almost any funk, and whether I'm singing to it or dancing to it. So what are some of those for you?
Um, well, I'll answer that in a second. And I want to note that I think it was about a year ago that we interviewed Lorenza Neat on Priestessing the Priestesses, and we talked about a very similar topic.
Right.
Like, what do we do for fun? And that was when you got your cats. So in terms of things, that's what as you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, your kittens who are now not such kittens anymore.
Yes.
And for
Great
me,
sources of joy. Sorry, they're just
yes, no.
joy and entertainment.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
So if you have pets or children, even just watching them, like with a bit of a distant gaze can be like, what are they doing? Can be really fun. For me, and I think I admitted this last year also. So there are a few things. I'm dancing more. I'm like putting on upbeat music and intentionally like choosing music that makes me want to move my body. I'm singing Last week's episode, like singing was so nourishing for me. I was like, oh yes, I need to do more of this. Last week was on the veil. And a place in my life where I find lots of playfulness is sex, being in sexual energy and my sexuality. And I think last year I was like, I have a partner. That is still true. I have a person in my life who I get to explore that part of myself with, and I am grateful.
Yeah. The other thing for me, well, there are several, but certainly my work feeds me, and creating classes and programs and so on, but also humor and finding ways to communicate, even in difficult circumstance, with humor and
Mm-hmm.
laughter. What were you going to say?
Okay, so I was going to say about humor. So first I have to say I love my work and I tend toward meaning in my work more than joy. And so like the meaning, it feels very fulfilling, but it doesn't often. Last night, Living from the Heart, we were all laughing a lot. And that's because we were talking about sex and dating. So like it really does. We were like, we feel like young girls at a sleepover party. But mostly it feels fulfilling and meaningful. And so I'm glad that that I have other places in my life where I can be inviting in play and fun. And one of the things I thought of that for humor, I was like, yeah, what do I do? Okay, there are two things I've been watching. One is the Graham Norton show. I like watch it on Facebook videos and I laugh a lot.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm very late to the party on this one. It's been around a long time. I really love it. And James Corden, I started watching Carpool Karaoke.
Okay.
Really love the new Cinderella movie, good feminist spin, unexpected, loved that. Okay. And for Carpool Karaoke, the whole cast, or not the whole cast, but like 4 main characters, including James Corden, crammed into his little car and did Carpool Karaoke with Idina Menzel and Camille.
Yeah. I've seen a few of those. Yeah.
I love those. And now James Corden, I've also seen some videos where he does movie retrospectives with a famous actor where they have a green screen and like a few props. And I just find these, they make me laugh. I feel entertained. I feel uplifted, and they're so silly. And I love that I have silliness available, like at the click of a phone, right?
Absolutely. I mean, with the cats, it's, we anthropomorphize them, of course, right? We're giving them human emotions and attributes, and that adds to the fun, but Lilith in particular, who I didn't name, my partner named her, is now, we got them, adopted them about a year ago at Halloween, and so they're now about a year old, and she's now 12 pounds, which was very unexpected. She was very tiny, of course, as a kitten. And so when she wants our attention at 6:30 in the morning, she gets it because she's standing on our stomach demanding not only food, but entertainment. And so she will bring us particular toys. One of those are my hair ties. And she'll bring it because she wants me to throw it, and she fetches like a dog. So, but, see the way they sit very expectantly, or look at you if they know they're in trouble and creating big mischief. Those things are endlessly entertaining. I have way too many. I must have hundreds of pictures on my phone by now.
I love it.
It's really overkill, but yeah.
No, it's not overkill. Why judge? It's enjoyment.
No, because it'll use up the memory on my device.
So you'll have to get a backup. Soon you're going to be paying $5 a month for backup memory for your phone so you can have more cat photos. That's like everybody on the internet.
Yeah, which I swore I wasn't going to be watching funny cat videos, but now I'm creating them.
Yes!
I'm not posting them, but except for the other day. I did post one the other day because we often have a small family of deer near my house, or right around our house, and all of a sudden 3 deer appeared, and then their mom appeared outside our kitchen window in this grassy area. And all of a sudden, Zedek, the other cat, jumped up in the garden window and saw them, and their eyes were locked as if they were natural enemies. What move was the other one going to make? And of course, this got many likes because this I had to post on Instagram, because the cat, to see what her tail was doing, had me hysterical. And then it was going like a little, vibrating really quickly, as if you put the thing in high speed film, just because she was so excited, So absolutely, those things can bring you out of a funk. They can certainly make you pay attention and come into the present. And I think that's a big place, almost a necessity, isn't it, for finding joy and for getting out of a funk. You have to become present.
Well, actually, I was going to say sometimes it's about becoming present and sometimes it's about getting out of the present. And
You mean
so,
escaping with movies?
yes, escaping with
Okay.
movies, with cat videos, with
Yeah.
James Corden or Graham Norton,
All right.
whatever. Um,
Okay.
and I was just talking to someone today who, we're so conditioned also to be like TV is a waste of time, that, funny videos are a waste of time. You need to be more productive.
Right.
How dare it's lazy,
Right.
it's toxic, it's bad for you. And I want to say, like, I had a therapist briefly a few years ago. I was on a medical leave, and she said, when you get into that place where you can't find joy and you're completely overwhelmed with what I was dealing with anxiety and depression at the time, she was like, watch funny or wholesome TV. Your therapist said so. And so I want to say to anyone, it occurs to me as we're talking about, you know, media as an outlet, to say to anyone who's hearing
Yeah.
this and rolling your eyes and saying, but that can't be for me because I'm not, because that's bad or whatever. I just want to say it can be
Oh,
medicine.
comedy. Oh,
Like, we don't
absolutely.
have
Comedy.
court jesters, we have
Right,
TV
right. Exactly, exactly. No, that's
and
very true.
movies.
That's
Yes.
very true. I mean, I can't think of anything, any state we would be in where watching Robin Williams or George Carlin would not immediately have us on the floor laughing. So yeah, I completely agree. Or just rom-coms or just silly comedies. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
there
No,
are
they
so
definitely
many.
can be medicine. Yeah.
Totally. And what else I wanted to say about turning towards, right? This process of choosing joy, of noticing the hard. Sometimes we don't even realize. Like, I was in a situation recently where I was like, why is this so hard? And it was actually a partner who said, I notice you have a lot of relationships in which you spend time with people and it feels hard and challenging. And he was like, I don't have that. My friendships and relationships feel easy.
Mhm.
And isn't it interesting that that's where you're choosing to spend your energy? And I hadn't even realized that it was a choice,
Mm, mm.
right? Like, for me, it was like, well, these are the relationships I have.
Right.
And I have this thing, maybe, so I'm going to share a vulnerable thing. Like, I have this thing about, if I say no to this, I'll have nothing, which I
Right.
call sometimes feast on scraps. And so I'll take what's hard rather than be alone. Like, I'll spend time and energy in relationships that are hard or painful, that don't
Mhm.
meet my needs.
Yeah.
Um, and that was such a useful, like, he was a helpful mirror, sort of.
Reflecting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that I was like, that was very insightful, actually. And it's helped me a lot over the last week. I've been sort of taking, and that was Scorpio new moon, very timely. And it's really helped me to take stock of the relationships and situations in my life where I am choosing hard, actually, and like not acknowledging that I'm choosing that, and to say, maybe I don't want to do that anymore. And
Right.
what can that look like?
Mhm.
Um, and, so
Yeah.
whatever your situation, it can look different. But for me, I'm like, I just don't want to choose those things anymore. Like, if
That's
I'm
great.
presented with an opportunity that feels hard, to
Yeah.
say thanks, but no thanks. That's not a
Right.
fit.
Right. But the thing you mentioned, and I really appreciate your vulnerability in sharing that of choosing that over being alone,
Mhm,
you are definitely not alone in that choice,
mhm.
subconscious though it might have been. I mean, many, many women and probably a number of men choose that
People, yeah. Mhm.
unconsciously. And
Yeah,
I
I think,
think
yeah.
as we get older, we have less tolerance for the BS,
Mhm.
and we start to realize maybe some of these patterns, but also we just don't want to spend time being unhappy or with things that are hard, and not realizing we have a choice. I think that also can happen with friends, not just
Mhm.
partners or love partners, but with people who are energy vampires, for
Mhm.
example. I talked about this with someone yesterday, and
And
realizing
last week, yeah.
that if uh, you walk away from a conversation on the phone, on Zoom, in person, from somebody who you may be even friends with, and you're exhausted or you
Mhm.
feel depleted repeatedly, then that's something to examine, because that person can be an energy vampire. I find people who are, for example, consistently negative, and there's always something wrong with every single thing in their life. I can't be around that, and I won't anymore, because it is exhausting and
Mhm.
tedious and not fun. It's not. I want friendships that are intellectually stimulating, that are fun. Same probably as you.
Yes. And I want to say, like, to anyone out there who's listening to this and worrying that you're that person who's complaining all the time, that, and because this is what came up for me, like in my situation, I have a button about that, about feeling needy, about feeling like
Yeah.
my needs are too great and that's why I'm going to be alone. And like that was sort of the thing that happened with this friend where I realized it was hard, was it from a zoomed out way, I was able to see, and with the help of some supportive friends, I was able to see it's not that my needs are too much, it's that they're not a fit. Like that person does not have the bandwidth to meet
Right.
me where I'm at, and I didn't have we just couldn't meet each other where we were at.
Yeah.
And so if you're in that situation, find the people who can hear you,
Yeah.
who feel resourced enough to support you. Because I think like there's something to this energy vampire thing, and there's also something to be said for like at different places in our lives we have different capacity for meeting people in their
That's
suffering or their
right.
I want to say mishugas, like their like the chaos of their
Craziness.
life.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And so that's okay. Like you don't have to judge yourself if you can't do it. If you can't be the one to show up for them, great, get out of
Yeah.
the way. Because I'll
Yeah.
say as
Because
someone,
yeah.
yeah, sorry, go
Sorry.
ahead.
It doesn't necessarily mean you don't have compassion.
Right.
Sometimes you have overabundance of compassion, and that's why that person wears you out. Because
Yes, because,
yeah,
and especially women, like we're socialized to give all our care. And in
yeah,
fact, like one of the reasons we're in this situation where the image I have is like where everyone around you is suffering. And so when you don't have any models for joy, health, pleasure, ease,
mm,
play, everybody around you is suffering. And so your vibration will adjust to match
right,
theirs.
right,
And we are socialized to do that, actually, to
yeah,
like give until we have nothing left.
right,
And so here's the thing, like when you notice that you're giving and giving until you're in this depleted state that you're talking about, like, oh, that phone call was so exhausting, and oh, I noticed the last several phone calls with this person have been so exhausting, like
right,
they're not able to reciprocate right now. I think it's not good for my energy to continue to show up in this way.
yeah,
So there's a need for us to separate our energy field from the others,
yeah,
and make sure that we are healthy and well and resourced, so that, first of all, not so that we can keep showing up, but so that we can be healthy and well and resourced.
right, right,
And then if we want to show up, so that we can show up with grace and compassion.
right, right, yeah,
And if you're the one who's worrying about sucking people's energy, just find the people who are well resourced so that they can show up for you, and trust that. And needs are innate. We all
mm,
have them, and at different parts of our lives we have bigger ones or smaller ones,
mm,
more or less. And so I've encountered a few people lately, including myself in the last week, like really judging ourselves for having needs
mm.
and for it's like I'm suffering and that's not okay because no one wants to hear about it.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And so like the flip side is like sometimes we're the person who's suffering and we just need to like keep asking for support until we find the ones who can support us.
Right,
And sometimes we're the one who has no bandwidth to be the supporter, and we just need to have better boundaries around I love you and I can't do it right now.
right, and I think it's situational what you're talking about too, because it's temporary, and it's perfectly not only right but important that we know how to ask for help to move
Mhm.
through a situation, a
We
life
hope
change.
it's temporary. Sometimes it feels like it's going on forever.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. So it feels important to acknowledge those nuances, and to say when we notice that we're surrounded, like when we're in caregiving mode and
yeah,
we're doing such a good job, right? We're like, we're giving and that feels so fulfilling until we're burnt out.
right, right,
And so if we can notice before we get to the burnout, hey, how many people do I have around me who are prioritizing joy
right,
and modeling play?
yeah,
And if I don't, I need to bring them in, so that, because when I have models, it enables me to show up that way. Then I can have these positive mirrors in a different way than we talked about last week, different kind of positive mirrors.
mm,
And I notice in the zoomed out perspective, in terms of the shifts our whole society is making,
right, right,
going from survival mode to thriving mode, we have fewer models
mm,
of thriving while also being in connection, community, collaboration, and compassion. We
Mm.
don't have as many models of that. We have rich, the perception of like, if you're rich, you're an asshole. So if you're thriving, that means you're thriving because you've cut yourself off from those in need.
Mm.
And we're starting to see more and more models of thriving while also staying in connection.
Mm. Mm.
And so like, that's what I want to invite in, is like, I want to play so other people see that it's possible to play. And I want to like look for people who seem happy even when they're, or who say they're happy, not just seem, but
Yeah.
who are able to embody that kind of fun and play, even while their lives are not perfect, because they're never going to be perfect.
Oh, right, right. And as you said before we went on, this idea that when I get that car, when I get that other job, when I make X number of dollars, then I'll be happy. It's a really false illusion, and we have to find it today wherever we are. And one thing that came up when we were talking is that even if somebody has very little, or what we consider very little, they can find happiness. I remember being in South Africa doing my research years ago and seeing a woman who had her one leg had been amputated at the knee, and she was standing on the other leg washing dishes in an outdoor sink and was radiating joy. And I remember I took a picture because I just thought, she was in a group that I was interviewing for my work, and it just was astounding to me and really put things in perspective.
Mhm.
How would I then go home and complain about stupid little things, and that still catches me up when I think about people who either have been wounded in war or raped and had to have the child, or things that so many people go through in other parts of the world and here. um, that also sets me right in perspective, and I give such gratitude, and I'm so grateful for my life and all my blessings, and even tiny little things like the cat doing something stupid.
Yeah. And okay, so there are two sides to this thing that I want to say about, I think I've shared here before, about this Sudanese refugee I met in Jerusalem when I was living there in 2009. And I had seen his story before I met him. He was the same age as me, and he had walked from Sudan, and he had experienced horrific events. I'd seen his documentary, his story. And when I met him, I was a, whatever, 30-year-old middle class woman from Canada, from Toronto, and I had struggled with depression most of my life, and he radiated such compassion and joy, and I was like, how do you do it? And who am I? Like, how I was like, seeing your story and meeting you, I feel like there's a part of me that says like, how dare I, like struggle with my piddly whatever, well, you've been through everything that you've been through. And he said to me, bathtub or ocean, drowning is drowning.
Mm.
And that has been incredible supportive wisdom for me ever since. And I've used it for myself and others. And so, like, we don't have to judge ourselves and our pain
Right.
based on someone else having what we perceive to be more or more valid. What our experience is valid. And there's something about the flip side of that, like, that person can't have the joy I have because of their circumstances. And
Mm.
I want to say, like, we can find joy in such a broad spectrum of experiences. We can choose it even when, and look, I don't have the experience of, thank God, like, I've not been a person with one leg washing dishes in an outdoor sink. But I've had plenty of challenges in my life, and I'm learning. This is something we have to learn because we were not taught
No.
how to notice what's available to us in the realm of joy and pleasure when our nervous systems are activated. When our sympathetic, when we're in fight, flight, freeze,
Right.
we're just in survival mode. And so I'm learning. I'm like writing lists. What can I do when I feel despair?
Mm.
I can take a shower. I can go for a walk. I
Mhm.
can listen to music that I like. I can take a nap. I can watch a fun show. I can call a friend. I can make some art.
Right. I think it's really important to have such a list. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just want to interject one
Yes.
thing because I will forget later. I just am putting out Anger as Creative Fire, a little
Yes.
mini workbook booklet that people can, if they subscribe to Lilith Institute newsletter, they can get a free copy. And it is similar in that it is offering ways to be productive or move through the anger or use
To
it to
use,
be more creative.
instead of be productive, can we say to like harness the energy of the anger and
As
integrate it
creativity.
for movement and good in our lives,
You can
right?
say that too.
Yes.
For me,
Because I just, the productivity wheel, I'm, you know, I'm like, let's not only be about productivity. Let's like give the
oh, that's
fullness
why
of
I
what's
mentioned
available.
creativity as
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
But for
Yeah.
me, it has often resulted in productivity. And for me, that has been a form of creativity because it means creating, let's say, a new class or a
Yes.
new program. So it isn't about producing something that's making me a lot of money or that is feeding a corporate machine. So I'll make that distinction for productivity, you know.
Yeah, there's a generativity, right? Like
Yes,
you're
exactly.
birthing new things, and
Exactly.
that's so satisfying for you. So that's such a great way for you to
Yeah.
tap into your joy.
So I think whether you're talking about, you know, being depressed, I don't mean clinically depressed, but being really down in the dumps, or feeling you're in descent, which can last for a long time,
Mhm.
or being angry, you know, that, yeah, there are many ways to channel these, and you were giving some of them, which were sounding wonderful, ways to work with them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Also, I'm just thinking about the value of family, and for people who would have what we might think of as very little, including very little food. I think family and relationships are what sustain us and what can bring the greatest joy, no matter what else is going on in our lives.
Yep. So I want to add chosen family.
Yes,
And there are lots of us, myself included, who I don't have a family support system. So um,
intentional family, chosen family.
intentional, chosen,
Yes,
and I'm trying to build it. And maybe you are too, if you're watching.
sure.
And there's, so yes, your people, whether you're, however you define
Right.
them, your people, your
Exactly.
friends, your partners, your, you know, the
Your
people.
tribe. Your tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Definitely doesn't have to be blood relations. Yeah.
right. Yeah. That feels important to name.
Yes.
So I pulled a card from the Journey of Love deck by Alana Fairchild, Rasuli, and Richard Cohn. And it's a beautiful deck, and this is a beautiful card. And the card is drop into your heart.
Mm, beautiful.
And I want to share the message from the book about this. So Devora wisely said, the drop into your heart can be dropping into your heart to notice where your joy comes from, or like what would bring you joy. That was the first thing. It's like we can use,
And what does give you joy? What are you
yeah,
passionate about?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, Alana Fairchild writes that this oracle brings you an invitation to enter into the mystery of your life and your being, and to allow the biggest question you can summon to emerge. Oh, no, I'm reading the wrong one. I'm like, this doesn't sound right.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, wrong page. Scratch that. Okay.
Okay.
This oracle brings you an offering. That's right. The divine would like you to offer whatever is bringing your heart trouble, or, of course, joy. The divine would like to receive this from you as a gift, that it may return to you, that gift, in the form of a special blessing. Place your hands at your heart, and in genuine reflection, perhaps you may choose to offer your heart burden or light now. Either will be joyfully received by the divine, and you shall be graced with a gift in return. I love, especially, I love this because we don't want to bypass, right? Like, I love the invitation to offer up whatever is on your heart, the hard or the
Mhm.
joy.
Yes.
And in the new moon red tent, the new moon red tent circle that I lead, we have a space every month in that circle where we imagine an altar. And we used to actually have one. So, you know, now we're on Zoom, we're imagining an altar, and we bring offerings for the altar. And sometimes the offerings are our gifts, and sometimes there are needs, because the power of this altar is that it charges us up and brings us
Yeah.
blessing. And so I love this invitation that dropping into your heart means like allowing to arise and come out what needs to be lifted out, or what can lift you up, what is inside you to be amplified and lifted up. So like both, and like we want to welcome all of it. We want to acknowledge all of it for the sake of our healing, for the sake of our thriving.
Absolutely. And I'll just say to the both and, yeah, that it doesn't have to be and cannot be either or. Joanna Macy's talked about this for years, that you can't feel joy and love without feeling the pain. So just to extend that a bit. And so
hold it by your face. No, it's not working.
And it looks like I'm hiding behind it.
It's an invisible tree.
An invisible book.
Invisible book.
Wow. Okay. Well, I showed it before. That's interesting. I guess there
it is. Right there.
Talking to Goddess is an anthology I edited with the work of 72 women from 25 spiritual traditions. And I opened it to just see what would come up. And the prayer that arose is wudu, ablutions, the act of cleansing the body to prepare for union with the beloved in prayer. From a good dear friend of mine, Murshid Mariam Baker of Northern California. Purifying the heart with water and light, we receive peace in all humility. Purifying the mind with water and light, we receive forgiveness, that is beauty. Purifying the body with water and light, we receive patience and endurance. Love washes, releasing us from bondage, allowing surrender into the ocean of unity. This skin of light, now brightness woven. I like the fact the ocean was in there after what you said about ocean and bathtub.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. And I think I said shower on the list of things, and I want to bring that back, like water as a cleansing, refreshing, and transmitting gift.
Absolutely. And as a mikvah.
Yes. Yeah, we were talking about that before. A mikvah, which means like a ritual bath for rebirth, refresh. Yeah.
Transformation, renewal. Yes, yes.
Exactly. All those things.
All those things.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, wonderful. Well, we're going to do a tiny Instagram live after this, and
which by the time you see this, the Instagram live will have already happened. Time
warp. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
And me, yes, same time, same station. Oh, and Lilith Institute right now, you have a discount happening for membership?
We do. We have special gift for those who really want to give a loved one, a friend or family member something, and they don't know what, or the person who has everything and you don't know what to give them. We have a 2-for-1 holiday special on membership, the Ishtar level membership of Lilith Institute, which involves a lot of free classes, our free speaker series, our prayer and oracular circle, and discounts from about 10 wonderful partners, ranging from an evolutionary astrologer to a jeweler, to many other people, some Arabesque Aromas and Dr. Vivian Monroe and other folks. So that's all up on the website, lilithinstitute.com. And for this, our YouTube channel, we appreciate any feedback, comments, and ask you that you please like it if you liked it, and subscribe
and share if you know people who you think would like this. Please do share. And I also, for a little while longer, if you're interested in a reading with me, yes. A channeled reading with cards, I call it a transformation session. I have a promotion going for 50% off through November to take advantage of this powerful channeling energy for Scorpio season. Yeah. So yeah, I would love more opportunities to give readings because they're so awesome.
They are. So we'll put both of our emails in the
yeah, all the info will be in the description of this video. Go check it out.
And also on Instagram, you want to say what your name is so people could look
Annie Matan. I'm easy to find.
And I'm Lilith Institute, so you can look at the links in our bios, right? Also for more ways to contact us.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
Great.
And I just want to bless us that we are able to see opportunities for joy and pleasure and play and passion so that we can choose them.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of forms of play you can do on your own alone as well.
Yes.
Coloring. I have some nice coloring books. I don't live by myself, but I do that part alone. So yes, we wish you joy and a good week.
Yes. All right. Until we see you again. Thanks for joining us.